Last part, we discover the location of the Romulan separatists and their leader, Obisek. Opening a dialogue with him enabled us to understand his point of view. His people are being actively hunted by the Tal Shiar, and he turns to the Federation for aid. The thing is, the Romulans were a part of the Star Empire originally, and haven't allied themselves with the Republic, another recognised government of Romulans trying to forge their own path. He claims that the Tal Shiar are not being motivated by the internal politics of the Empire, but in fact some unseen third-party power behind the scenes. Until we have proof of that, the Federation's non-interference policy stands, and we can't help him.
My contacts tell me that Starfleet has rejected my request for military assistance. That is regrettable, but not unexpected. The Tal Shiar are formidable opponents, as are the forces directing their action. I understand why the Federation would hesitate to engage them directly. So today I appeal to you, not as an ally in battle, but as a person of compassion. My people need your help. I need your help. One of our ships was carrying a load of Thalaron weapons through the Nopata system. That ship has disappeared. There are no indications there was a battle. It's as if my ship and its cargo simply vanished. I know you have your reservations about the lengths to which I will go to secure the freedom of my people. Tell me, if you do not trust me with Thalaron weapons, do you want Hakiv to have them? I can provide you with the last coordinates of the vessel. Please help me. Do what you will with the weapons, if they survive. But find my people.
So long as Obisek understands that we will dispose of those Thalaron weapons when we find them. They are banned by Federation law, but he seems aware of this and must be truly desperate to give up on them completely, so it's worth looking into. Nopata Prime is a harsh desert world of up to 48 degrees C heat in the daytime. Really rather inhospitable. The only thing we can pick up on entering the system is a debris field in orbit. Naturally, as the only thing standing out to us, we move to investigate, giving it a cursory scan. The numerous hulks and debris here all show signs of an energy effect that overloaded their systems, potentially destroying them. The origin for this energy emission doesn't remain a mystery for long as we move into scanning range to probe the satellite.
Warning, ship is under attack.
Tendrils of purple energy arc from the installation to the Armiger, and we instinctively order a full reverse, but to no effect. Our momentum is being stifled somehow. So bringing the ship about, we then try to go to full impulse, pulling away from the satellite, but it holds us fast, and we're not going anywhere. Life support and environmental systems are still unaffected, for now, but Temet reports everything else is shut down. Energy systems across the ship are being disrupted. The transporter chief reports that we've got enough power for a single one-way transport. So we decide to form an away team and beam over to the satellite. Once inside, we can see that same purple energy discharged funneled through numerous conduits inside the satellite. We need to acquaint ourselves with these systems quickly and find a way to deactivate them. All the control panels we try to access are locked to our input. They're all dedicated to running another task. Yeah, killing my ship. Another locked console behind this grating. Looks like some sort of power regulation. Ah, but here we have an open computer. Nulia makes the case that whoever set up this trap obviously didn't think the cargo bay controls were important, but we might be able to use it as a backdoor into the rest of the system. Well, it's the only place we have to start. She notes that the interface is of Romulan design, but currently the satellite's primary processors are run through a series of equations and removing key bits of information from the answers, which causes the processors to lock up. Solving these equations and putting the correct information directly into the consoles would lift the security lockouts. She then makes us a download of these corrupted equations. Yes, that is exactly what I thought it was. Yes, well, completely well done, Nuala. Glad to see we're all on the same page there. You know what, as as captain, obviously I know what I'm doing, but how about I let you have the honours of solving these equations? Go on. Yep. All you. I'll just stand back. Yeah. And then you put that to there. So, and then, okay, 7599. We have a code. Let's see what we can use it on. Ooh, targeting override. So by inputting the code 7599, we're able to switch all of these satellite functions from automatic to manual. This hasn't done anything yet to free the Armiger. Maybe now we have access to the rest of this facility. Oh, back to the cargo bay computer for another algebra questionnaire, and we walk away with another code, 4400. And eventually another override, 6317. So next up, let's see what we can do about the power supply to the station. Right, we can tell it to enter a power save mode, reducing the amount of available power that the system has to work with. We then unlock the operations console and set it to conditional. Okay, progress. And we find we can now also access the targeting systems. Nice. As we look through its current settings, we can see that it's targeting the USS Armiger and then the XYZ coordinates. We can then activate its sensor telemetry to see that the Armiger is the only object it can detect at less than 100 kilometers. So we can then expand the range to search for a target at 1,000 kilometers, and it finds a derelict hulk. Now we can open the target identification program and see that the derelict hulk is now a potential target. Type derelict identified as non-functional. We can then reclassify the scrap and can verify it as a target if we examine the logs. Right, so now if we access targeting control, we can set the derelict as a priority target. And that's almost got it. The Armiger's out of danger, but still not free. Looks like priority target doesn't mean only target to this station. The Armiger's still stuck fast. So after some further tinkering with the power settings, we're able to set the default state of the satellite to economical. Alright, it hasn't disabled the beam, but now it goes into a super low powered mode if the Armiger doesn't resist. Still not off though, is it? But with the power set to low and the Armiger now a low priority target, we can now finally and simply hit the off button. Well, that was tedious. I guess now we investigate that debris from earlier. I'm betting we'll find our missing Romulan ship. It was probably snared in the same way the Armiger was by this Romulan trap. This isn't the transporter room. Well. Shit. Alright, looks like someone intercepted the transport. Right then, we're in a cell, in a cave. We can try our weapons, but they don't work. Looks like there may be a powerful dampening field in effect, or the transport deactivated them.
If you fail to comply with commands, you will be punished.
The Romulan next to us says now we fight or die. With what, fisticuffs? Well, the alternative is to stay in this cage and get punished, whatever that means. So for now, let's do what the voice tells us. Looking around, I suspect that this is a natural cavern, no grav plating, so it's likely we're on a planet. Transporters cannot beam us outside of the system, so we're probably on Napada Prime. A cave would make a good refuge from the scorching heat. The tech in here seems fairly nondescript, however, could belong to a myriad of races. Further compounding this is the presence of numerous melee weapons from all sorts of cultures. Well, we were told to grab a weapon by the Romulan captive, so let's help ourselves to a sword. With our energy weapons disabled, it's the only offensive option we've got. We give it a couple of practice swings to test its weight. It'll do. Let's go talk to our captive.
I've never seen those weapons used before by anyone in the arena. I think the mercenaries who act as the occasional guard thought that those weapons might actually be worth something, unlike the beat-up ones they let us use. My best guess is that they're looking to sell them at some point when their contract here is up for some extra money.
Arena and mercenaries. So, whoever set this up is hiring mercenaries to mitigate contact with the prisoners, and the captives are being forced to fight in the arena.
Commencing Test 1. Nopadan Desert Akari entering testing area.
Nopadan Desert Akari. Spider-like critters and confirmation that we are on Nopada. Good, the Armiger is nearby. Well, no time to think about it now, we've got to fight to defend ourselves.
Commencing Test 2. Releasing Warrigals now.
Warrigals, a favoured beast of Romulan colony worlds. I guess now we have to dispatch these too. Our captive friend has chosen to fight with a bat'leth. Well, unless you know Klingon martial arts, that's probably a poor choice. It's a very lethal weapon, but only with a specific fighting style.
Proceeding to Test 3.
That's a Mugato. Okay, we fought them before, but we had energy weapons at the time. While Hale keeps it distracted, our comrade can attack it from behind. We just have to keep an eye out for its telegraphed attacks.
Prisoner 1478, remain in the area for interrogation. Prisoners, return to holding area. Failure to comply will result in punishment.
Well, they've ensnared 1478 with some sort of holding field. I'm not so much worried about enduring punishment myself. Honestly, it might supply some more answers, but I don't want them taking it out on 1478. So reluctantly, I acquiesced and returned to my cell at my comrade's urgings. But as we go, I do spy a Romulan flag. So, looks more and more likely that this is a Tal Shiar setup. Well, home sweet home. After some time, the sound of transport kicks in, and we see 1478 materialise in the cell next to us again. Let's talk to him, shall we?
Leave me alone.
Now, out of the fray, we can recognise our taciturn friend here as Slanik, a Reman we rescued from Installation 18.
I remember you as well. It seems your prison break, however well-intentioned, just ended up the same way. It's enough to make me think that I keep picking the wrong side. After escaping the installation, I joined up with a freighter. We were passing near the system when we were snared by a satellite and drifted into the planet's atmosphere. The ship crashed, and even though I activated an emergency transporter to beam several of us to the planet's surface, we were captured almost immediately by a group of soldiers. Since then, I've been stuck in this cage, watching my former crewmates fight and die in this arena. Now I'm the only one left alive. That is all I know.
We have a variety of options to talk to him with, including insulting him for crashing his ship. That doesn't seem fair. After all, we repeated his mistakes and were intercepted by the transported trap within a trap. Instead, we can ask about the soldiers. He calls them mercenaries, and when he was interrogated, he couldn't tell who they were from the synthesized voice they hid behind. We could ask him if he's got any idea what they wanted, but I don't think he knows. So instead, let's ask him if he's been interrogated before, see if we can figure some stuff out for ourselves.
No, I have been questioned by these people several times before. My reluctance to answer their questions earned me this shock collar. Refusal to help them now is quite painful. Interestingly enough, this was the first time I've been questioned about another participant in the arena. They asked how you treated me, and if you had said anything about why you were here. They even wanted to know if I thought we could become friends. Someone thinks you are very important.
We can threaten him if he dared to reveal any information about us, but what would be the point of that? So instead, let's see if we can speculate some more. Am I the only other prisoner here? Have you been made to fight alongside someone before? Or we can call him weak. Wow, this scenario really wants us to anger him.
I have lost everything.
Helpful, thanks for that. But he says he has overheard other people fighting, so there are other prisoners here. How many fights have you been through, Slamek?
Too many.
And have you seen anything we can use anyway through their defenses?
The trainers carry keycards. That's the only way I know to get through the defenses.
Any idea how we could get one of those keycards?
Can I trust you?
No.
Leave me alone.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. That was a joke. So it looks like if we annoy him, he's going to end the conversation and we're going to have to earn back his trust.
We were transporting a shipment of Thalaron weapons. I know that your people will not use them. We do not want to, but our fight is getting desperate. We needed to do something, anything that would shift the tide of war, even if that choice was horrific. I jettisoned our cargo as we were entering the atmosphere. The weapons were completely destroyed. I've seen what Thalaron weapons are capable of firsthand. I could not allow them to contaminate a world not involved in my people's fight.
Do they pair us up often for these arena fights?
I've had several partners in my battles. You are the only one about which I've been questioned. You must have impressed our masters. I know you have impressed me.
It sounds like the Thalaron weapons are dealt with then, by Slamek's admission. Navigating the conversation, we then circle back to the topic of the guards' keycards.
Trust you. I can see that we think the same way, friend. A few years ago, I worked as a bodyguard for a Ferengi merchant. He had a talent for acquiring latinum, and during my time with him, I learned a few things. I was able to lift a keycard from one of the trainers during my interrogation. If you help me, I think we can overpower the guards and escape through the main door in the arena.
That sounds like a plan, or more importantly, our only plan at the minute. So now we wait to be called out once again.
If you fail to comply with commands, you will be punished.
Alright, here we go.
Test Scenario 4 activated. A Hala released.
A Hulla worms, like the ones we encountered on Nimbus 3. This time, however, Slamek decides to try to use his lifted keycard to open the other pens to gather reinforcements. Just like the ones we've encountered before, they can projectile spit a corrosive acid, but they can't take much punishment. Dotted around the outside edge of the arena are these herbs which can restore their health. This makes up for the fact that we don't have a medic on hand as we would with a standard away team, and they're greatly appreciated. That was a big roar for a little creature. Oh. Run! Run! That's a queen! Run! The acid pools the Elder fires off are larger and seem to be causing a slowing effect if we get caught in the spray, which can culminate with us being hit again and again by the slow-moving projectiles. This is where the healing herbs at the edges of the arena come in handy, but all the while the younger Ahala worms are spawning in from the ground. Why couldn't I just be fighting a single Gorn? Though it looks like we'll be able to activate the turret defences located around the arena. No doubt they were stationed here to prevent their captive creatures from running amok. Unfortunately, it doesn't take the Ahala Grand Elder worm long to smite the turrets, though it does retreat back underground, and we have to wait for it to surface once again before we can repeat the actions.
Enemy combatants in close proximity.
Slamek has finally been successful in freeing the other prisoners, and they begin to swarm the arena, sensing that perhaps now is the time to make a push to escape. Alongside them, the final turret is activated, and the Elder Worm endures a final thrashing. It's now or never. The gates are disengaged at the far side, the authorities here are likely preoccupied with the escaped prisoners, so Slamek and Hale make a dash to escape. It's a good job they haven't activated Slamek's shock collar and disabled him. Otherwise we'd be at an impasse. The room we've entered is full of similar equipment to our cell, but in addition there are consoles and structures of familiar design. Slamek doesn't look so healthy. Unlike us, he's endured many fights here and is shielding his eyes from the brightness. On the way through here we can be sure to disable the dampening field that was keeping our weapons from working. We also find a terminal managing a project called Decimation, and we can see new parameters have been entered recently. The addition of Captain Mark Hale of the USS Armiger. Escape threats high, chance of interference in testing inform Colonel Hakiv. We can also see a file on prisoner 1478, that would be our friend Slamek here. He was captured by a Romulan patrol in the desert. This conforms with his story. They say that he was subjected to holographic conditioning, again like the procedures we found at Installation 18, and he performs poorly in solo combat. We can delve deeper into the logs to try and find motivation for this bizarre gladiatorial arena, and here we locate a personal log. My associates have two tasks for me now. First is the destruction of the Remans. I understand their anger. The Remans are attempting to rise above their station. They're mindless slaves, and they need to respect their betters. Taris was able to control them. After Starfleet captured her, the surviving Remans developed delusions of self-worth. This troublemaker who calls himself Obisek. Who is he to tell them that they can be free? Does a beast of burden have the right to choose its own destiny? I will present Obisek's broken corpse to the Iconians in tribute. They will reward me richly for my loyalty. The second task will take more effort. The Iconians want data. They want the species of the Alpha Quadrant tested until they break. They want to know their weaknesses and how to exploit them. They want to see their strengths and know how to destroy them. I will admit that I take no little pleasure in this task. It will be quite entertaining to make some of those self-righteous humans turn on one another, or push one of those blustering braggarts from Kronos until he begs for death. Oh, and the Vulcans, I will make the Vulcans weep, and I will savour each tear. I know of an abandoned COLISEUM in the Nopada system. We can find a way to lure test subjects there. It will take time and effort, but I am confident I can do what the Iconians want. And finally, we can see a compilation of observations ready to be relayed to some off-site master. Humans and Klingons will fight even if there's no chance of victory. Breaking a Vulcan's emotional control will render them helpless. Bajorans tend to fight to the death to protect what they care about, but less so for another. Betazoids can detect betrayal, well, they are telepaths, but they can be psychically overwhelmed with painful thoughts. How long has Hakiv been running this facility to have amassed such a large sample of test subjects? The observations go on and on. 77% of Gorn will assist another Gorn over a Klingon despite them being allies. The Hirogen are formidable fighters but just not a threat because they're so sporadically placed. Experimentation with Trill symbionts and implantation, and even a study into species 8472, the Undine. This is a massive amount of tactical data gathered in some of the most horrific ways, endless scenarios cooked up by scientists to break a species down. The goal seems apparent: to drive apart the powers of the Alpha Quadrant, in preparation for what? An invasion? The terminal closest to the structure in the middle of the room reveals it to indeed be an Iconian gateway. Travel logs indicate it went from Napada Base Delta, that's here, to the IRW Lival, Breyer 3, Dera 4, and the Hafar listening post. While the Lival is the flagship of the Star Empire and Empress Seela's vessel. Breyer 3 is an M-class planet somewhere in the Beta Quadrant. Dera 4 was the location that Obisek and his Remans were hiding at before the Tal Shiar found them, and the Hafar listening post was known as Hephaestus. The facility is destroyed, as we saw in the mission Mine Enemy by us. That's a bombshell of information. Short of actually seeing an Iconian, we've got an abundance of proof that the Tal Shiar and Colonel Hakeev are working with the ancient race, or at least someone claiming to be the Demons of Air and Darkness. We have no way to download the data or transmit it, so our survival is now even more urgent. Jumping into a muddy pool, we exit the facility through its sewer system. Lovely.
It is too bright here.
Really, Slamek? Well, despite his discomfort, he draws our attention to the Scorpion shuttles flying overhead, looking for escapees. He points us east, beyond the mountain range, to the location of his crashed cargo vessel. Perhaps we can salvage a means off this planet, or create a distress beacon. After all, the Armiger is probably still in the system. We move from minimal cover to cover. Avoiding detection is as much a factor of luck as stealth. Fortunately, we're very lucky. The shrubs, cacti and boulders do much to hide our passage, and the sweeping winds will likely cover our tracks by morning. At night, deserts tend to get rather cold, so now is the perfect time to keep moving. Putting as much distance between us and the COLISEUM is key, despite our traumatic exertions in the arena. We hunker down as the hum of an especially low-flying patrol skims overhead. Bullet dodged, we press on, but it's not long before Slamek collapses from the trek.
I tire of this life.
Yeah, well, at least you're still alive, buddy. We gotta move. During the fight with the Ahala Worm Elder, Slamek fears he's been poisoned.
Before we were captured, my science officer said that the local plants here have medicinal qualities. Please, I need your help. Find something to ease my suffering. I need something to disinfect my wound, something to treat my fever, and anything that will ease my pain. Thank you, my friend. I know that I would have died today if it weren't for you.
Alright then, you stay there. Howl if you get attacked by a wolf or something. I'll go gather some plant life. Let's hope Starfleet survival training doesn't fail me now. Dotted around the hillock surrounding us are 3 herbs that are unfortunately not suitable to be used as healing items due to exposure or health, but they point out the sort of growth we're looking for. We find a viable sample in the shade of the hills to the south that will act as a painkiller, before sprinting across the expansive sands to find some dried out brittle trees to help with the fever. These prefer the bluffs of the dunes, it seems. These, plus the samples we gathered earlier, are enough to make a salve for Slamek. If nothing else, it will help with the pain and we can press on. The sound of patrols is still present, but so far there have been no more interruptions by low-flying scorpions. However, the whine of the engines serves to remind us of how close to danger we still are, and exposed to the elements. Survival training is taught at Starfleet Academy, where controlled environments are set up on Earth and other planets to simulate extreme survival situations. Even the feared Australia is used to run a training course. We descend into a canyon to escape the sandy winds and hide from the flyers. The downside is that there may be wildlife down here too, local predators that hunt in these less exposed passages. Sure enough, we encounter a roaming pack of Salat, big saber-toothed cats native to Vulcan. How they got here is a mystery, but they are adept at hunting in sandy desert environments, even surviving the infamous Vulcan Forge desert. We get too close and they attack. Well, surviving deserts is one thing, but disruptor fire and plasma grenades is completely another. Bad kitty. I always feel slightly guilty when I do this. Now well, moving on. The journey is straightforwards and long. Not great, as if our tracks are found at the canyon entrance, it's an easy path to follow, and along the way we are ambushed again by more pack hunters. Eventually cresting a ridge, we can see behind us the distance we've made from the Colosseum, its imposing fortress silhouette just distinguishable against the night sky as it's tinged a deep azure with distance. Slamek halts us with a concern.
The temperature is dropping. If we don't find warmth, we risk hypothermia. We can't use a phaser on the rocks here to heat them. They're too porous. We will need firewood. Look to the dry plants. If we can collect tinder, kindling, and logs, we will be able to create a fire that will last through the night.
He's right. The nights are growing noticeably colder, and we really haven't been here that long, so we must have arrived at sundown. Unfortunately, the sporadic native plants seem to make perfect ambush points for the native predators, such as this Ahala worm. Still, dispatching it allows us to collect some kindling for a fire, and as we press on in search for more fuel, I notice a strange, twitching tree. I don't trust it, not after that last ambush. And Slamek is staying far back too. I really don't trust it. It's the tail of some giant underground worm that's going to explode upwards and eat me. Okay, well, maybe I'm sleep deprived and paranoid a little. But you know what they say, better safe than being digested slowly over the course of 1,000 years in a giant sandworm's stomach. While I've been collecting firewood, our companion has located a cave in which we can shelter for the night. And thanks to my efforts, we've got a fire going to keep us warm.
The temperature is dropping rapidly now. This cave should protect us from the elements. I've done some exploring. It looks like this cave continues. When the sun rises side of the mountain, we could save time and energy by using the passage instead of trying to find a path over the mountain. Excellent. The passage saved us hours. This could be a good day. Let's find my ship.
Some infamous Star Trek Online voice implementation there. Oh well, we survived the night. Wait, I just noticed. Slamek has removed his slave collar. When did that come off? When we left the facility? Did it automatically deactivate when we left the compound? I didn't see that happen. Rounding the corner, we emerge at a ridgeline overlooking a collapsed hulk of a smoking wreck. It sits atop upturned sand and stone, dashed to pieces by its crash landing. I think we found our missing Romulan transport, Slamek's ship. Over the precipice, we can see a water supply below us, and dehydration begins driving me towards it. It appears to be an oasis of water sat on a stone basin. Perhaps it was upset by the impact of the Romulan transport vessel, as I don't see any connecting streams, but as just evidenced by our passage through the caves, there is an extensive cave network among the mountains. We approach the crashed derelict, still smouldering in the desert heat. I bet the metal surfaces of that thing could cook an egg. Not to be insensitive or anything, Slamek. I'm sorry for your loss. His first suggestion is to check for the emergency beacon. After all, they are designed to withstand crash landings. And even if it's been damaged, we can at least attempt to enact repairs. Damn it, the beacon is a no-go. Missing, obliterated by impact, or buried under the sand. However, we have discovered a portable generator with some power left in it, so perhaps we can jury-rig our own signal. Looking about the crash site, we can find components to create just such a device. A detached comm array, a subspace distortion inverter, and finally parts from a navigational beacon. With all the parts needed, we construct a simple beacon that can broadcast a location marker. Now we wait, and hopefully the Armiger finds us before the Romulans do.
Did you think you could run? From me? There is no place where I cannot find you. My spies are everywhere. Prisoner 1478, take your place. You did your job admirably. It is good to know at least one Reman understands who is the master and who is the slave. The loss of the listening post was a minor setback. The Reman's refuge in the Dera system has been destroyed. Dozens of subjects have been tested in my arena. When the Iconians return, they will find I have done all they have asked, and more. But you will not be there on that dreaded day. This tiresome game ends now. You could have been such a fascinating test subject, but this time, no. This time I think a more direct approach is best. Ready? Aim? No!
Oh, thank frack, I did not have a plan to get out of that one. I knew something was off about Slamek. His comments about the losing side, the disappearance of his shock collar.
I apologize for Slamek's action. I had no idea there was a traitor in our midst. If his actions caused harm to you or your crew, forgive me. That was not my intent. However, your trip to the Nopata system was not in vain. Now you see. Now you know. Hakiv is a pawn of a greater power. The demons of air and darkness are here. You should report to your superiors. Tell them what you have seen here. Open their eyes to the dangers that lurk in the shadows.
I don't think Slamek was a traitor, not in the true sense. After all, we saw in the records that he had undergone the brainwashing experiments that were being conducted at Installation 18. So I think he's just a broken man after enduring so much. But Obisek is right about one thing. Now I have seen firsthand and heard from Hakiv's monologue itself that the Iconians are manipulating events in the Alpha Quadrant, using the Tal Shiar to gather intelligence, in prelude to something greater. It remains to be seen if the Starfleet Admiralty will accept my testament with no actual evidence as proof enough for further actions, but Hakiv needs to be stopped, and Obisek's revenge needs to be curtailed. But that will have to wait for the next part of the continuing adventures of the USS Armiger, her captain and crew, as we barrel towards the conclusion of the Romulan mystery story arc. Thank you for joining us throughout the ever-expanding narrative of Star Trek Online, and I hope to see you back for the next part. Until then, I've been Rick, thanks again, and goodbye.